Hello Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's RE lesson. Now, having looked at Buddhism over the last half term, this half term we're going to be moving on to a different religion, a religion called Judaism. Now, some of you might know a little bit about Judaism already, and if you do, that's fantastic. But don't worry if you don't, because as I said, it's going to be our focus in RE for this half term. So by the end of this term, you will know a lot about the religion of Judaism. So today's lesson is going to be an introduction to this religion. So by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to tell me how Judaism began, so the story of how it began, and you'll also be able to give me some definitions for some key vocabulary linked to Judaism, such as rabbi, Torah, and synagogue. Now, before we start looking at our new religion, Judaism, I would like to see how much you can remember from our religion from last half term, which was Buddhism. So on your resource, Year 2 RE, 23rd of February, Resource 1, you have some multiple choice quiz questions. So you need to read each question and then circle the correct answer for each of the questions. So please could you pause the video now and have a go at your retrieval quiz on Buddhism. Okay, Year 2, so let's go through the answers together. Well, the first one, here you have the Buddhist symbol in the corner. And the question is asking you, what is this symbol called? Is it the cartwheel, the wheel of life, the steering wheel, or the captain's wheel? Yes, well done. It's the wheel of life, isn't it? The Buddhist symbol is called the wheel of life. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Which statement is true? Is it Buddhists believe that God made everything? Buddhists do not believe in a God who created everything? Or Buddhists believe in the afterlife? Well, yes, well done. It's Buddhists do not believe in a God who created everything. Okay, next question. Before achieving enlightenment, Buddha had a different name. What was it? Was it Ganesha? Was it Moses? Was it Pontius Pilate or Siddhartha Gautama? Well, yes, it was Siddhartha Gautama. Remember, Siddhartha Gautama was a prince in a lovely palace, but he'd never seen anybody suffering before, had he? But when he left the palace and saw people suffering, he decided to go on a journey and he became the Buddha, didn't he? So well done if you remembered that it was Siddhartha Gautama. Okay, next one. Why are Buddha statues usually sitting? Is it to show him meditating? Because he was tired? He liked sitting down, or he had just fallen down? Well, can you remember in the story of how Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, he was sitting under a Bodhi tree, wasn't he? Now, what was he doing under that tree? Well, yes, he was meditating, wasn't he? He was relaxing, he was calming himself down. So therefore, Buddha statues are usually sitting to show him meditating, which is very important in the religion Buddhism. Okay, the next question. What is a parable? Well, we learned about the parable, the Monkey King. Now, was a parable an umbrella, a tropical bird, a story with a message or a moral, or a prayer? Well, yes, it was a story with a message or a moral, wasn't it? It was about the monkeys with the mangoes. Fantastic. Okay, next question. What does the wheel of life represent? So the wheel of life is the Buddhist symbol, as we found out earlier. Now, does the wheel of life represent the long journey Buddha went on, the cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth, a sailboat, or a strange dream Buddha had? Yes, fantastic. It's the cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. Because remember, Buddhists believe in reincarnation, that you are born again after you pass away. So well done if you remembered that. Now, our last one now. Which of these would you not expect to find in a Buddhist shrine? Well, we can remember from our lesson that you could find candles on a Buddhist shrine, couldn't you? Because some of you drew candles on your Buddhist shrine. You can also find incense, can't you? It helps you to relax if you burn it. And you could also find water, because remember, the water needed to be changed every day. So therefore, the item which would not be found on a Buddhist shrine is a cross. So fantastic. Well done if you got those right. And when you send your work to the office, could you also send me the answers to your quiz to see how much you've remembered about Buddhism? That would be brilliant. So now it's time to move on to our new religion. So as I said, our new religion is Judaism. And here we have a man called Sam, and he belongs to the religion Judaism. Now remember, when we learned about Buddhism, people who followed the religion Buddhism were called Buddhists. Now, people who belong to the religion Judaism are called Jews, okay? They are Jewish and they are called Jews. And they believe that there is one God, okay? So remember, Buddhists didn't believe that there was one God who created everything, but Jews do believe this. So people who follow the religion Judaism believe there is one God who is all powerful, who created everything. Okay, so that's our first fact about Judaism, that people who follow this religion, who belong to this religion, are Jewish and they are known as Jews, and they believe in one God who created everything. Now, some of you might know some facts about Judaism. So could you pause the video and have a think? What might you already know? But don't worry if you don't. Okay, yeah, too. So let's find out some more about Judaism. Now, Judaism began thousands of years ago. And it began with this man in the middle. Can you see the picture of the man? Well, his name is Abraham, okay? And he was the first Jew. And he believed that there was one God who created the whole world. Now, most people at the time didn't think this. Most people believed that there were lots of gods. But Abraham just believed that there was one God who created everything. And God told Abraham to leave his home and to travel to a special land that God had chosen for him. So God spoke to Abraham and told him to leave his home and travel to this special land that God had chosen just for Abraham. And in return for doing this, so because Abraham did this for God, God promised that he would make Abraham what's called the father of a great nation. Okay, so Abraham was the first Jew, the first Jewish person, and he was promised by God if he went to the place, travelled to the place where God had chosen for him, he would be made the father of a great nation. Now, this is Abraham and his wife here. Now, Abraham and his wife, who was called Sarah, were very old and they had no children. Now, God promised Abraham and his wife, Sarah, that they would have a son, okay? And once he promised that they would have a son, they did have a son, and they called him Isaac. Now, after Sarah and Abraham had their son Isaac, Abraham's children, so Isaac, had children of his own. And the number of Jews continued to grow. So Abraham had his own children, and then Abraham's children had children, and so on. So the number of Jews kept on growing. And today there are millions of Jews in the world. And God kept his promise that Abraham's family would be the start of a special people. Okay, so Abraham's family were the start of the religion Judaism. They were the start of Jewish people. Okay, so that is the story of how Judaism began.